Okay. Yeah, I will start it recording that.
Okay, you consenting. Okay, so let's start. So hello, thank you very much for your participation in our webinar out of your busy schedule today. My name is Satoshi Takayama, one of the co-founders of our company, Fenetre Partners. I'm in charge of supporting overseas companies, especially in industrial machinery and component sector, to enter and develop the business in Japanese market. And another co-founder is Yasushi Hasegawa. He will do the main part of our presentation after I introduce our company. The topic of this webinar is distribution channel strategy in Japan. In this presentation, we will explain that just having a local distributor wouldn't be enough to grow your business with Japanese customers. And but just before we start our webinar, I'd like to inform you that at the bottom of this Zoom screen, you can find a Q&A, a question and answer panel. So during our presentation, if you have any questions about our presentations or Japanese business in general, please use this Q&A panel to send your question. Then we will answer to your question during the presentation or at the last part of the presentation. Also, if you have questions about specific industry or about your company's business in Japan, then please contact us by sending an email to reserve a separate online meeting with us. You can find Yasushi's email address in his first invitation email of this webinar, which is marketing@fenetre.co.jp. We are happy to answer to your questions and support you for your future business in Japan. Also, after the seminar, after the webinar, if you'd like to have a presentation material, then please send an email message to Yasushi, then we can send them to you later. Okay, then now you see today's agenda. Yasushi will explain, as you see the screen, overview of the economy and industries in Japan, pros and cons of selling through a local distributor, strange distribution channel structure in Japan, case studies, options for distribution channel strategy in Japan, and question and answer. Okay, then please go to the next page.
Okay.
Okay. With this page, I'd like to introduce our company briefly. Our company, Fenetre Partners, is one of the leading consulting firms of trade, investment, and international marketing based in Tokyo. Our clients are medium to large size companies, mainly from the US and Europe. We also have many clients of overseas governmental organizations to support trade missions and also foreign direct investment. Our scope of our service is market entry support to enter Japan, not only by market researches or consulting, but by implementation. And this implementation means, for example, business development and lead generation. And this is our company's strength. What we mainly do with this implementation is sales and marketing activities locally in Japan on behalf of our clients. So we work as if we are your local Japanese branch office. We currently have 29 staff, and we have worked more than 300 international projects since our company was established in 2008. And this page shows logos of our past and current clients. As explained earlier, we have clients of mainly the US, European manufacturing companies, and also governmental organizations. Industries of clients are mainly industrial machinery components, automotive. We also have customers of consumer products. Then from next page, my colleague Yasushi will explain the main topic of this presentation. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yasushi Hasegawa, another co-founder of Fenetre Partners. It's a great pleasure for us to give this presentation to you, for giving you some new insights about how to develop your distribution channel in Japan. Actually, Japan is very notorious with super complex distribution channel structure and business culture, and in some cases, having a distributor wouldn't be a solution for your business to grow in Japan. But in some cases, you can combine different options to find a distributor and support them. So I hope you can get the new ideas how to develop your distribution channel in Japan today. So I would like to start with the overview of economy and industries in Japan. This is our key figures about Japan. Japan consists of 47 states. The biggest one is Tokyo, then Osaka and Aichi follows. And the size of land area is almost same with Germany or California. So geographically, it's easy to cover whole Japan. For example, it takes just 2.5 hours from Tokyo to Osaka by express train. So it's easy to cover whole Japan geographically. And now the population is this, which is 1/3 of the US population, or less than 10% of China. And the GDP is here, about 5 trillion, which is 1/4 of the US, or roughly half of China. But it's still world third biggest economy. However, you can find the GDP growth. Actually, not only Japan is under such situation due to COVID-19 last year, but before the 2020, the GDP growth rate was usually between 0 and 1%. So it's somewhat stable, but you should not expect a rapid growth in the Japanese economy. And I'm going to explain some shocking data. The first one is GDP per capita, which is roughly 40,000. Actually, in 2002, Japan was ranked world #2 richest country in the world, but now it's declined to 26th. So I have to say, Japan is getting poorer and poorer. And another problematic figure is median age, which is 48.6 years old. It's a second oldest country in the world, next to Luxembourg, I think. So I have to say, Japan is getting poorer and older. So probably Japan is not a good destination for many of you guys, especially you are selling to normal average consumers, because the market is shrinking and getting older. However, I can give you some positive information as well later. I hope you don't leave our webinar right now. So this is a chart of nominal GDP of Japan. Actually, our economy was growing rapidly in 1970s, 80s. It was the best timing to enter the Japanese market because our demand is rapidly growing. So Japanese distributors, retailers, everybody really wanted purchasing state-of-the-art products from the Europe and the US at the time. As a result, so many international companies entered Japan during that period like this. However, our economic growth hit the ceiling in the early 1990s. And then, it's almost flat and no growth. And in 2008, probably many of you can remember what happened in 2008, economic crisis, not only in Japan. In addition to that, we had the big earthquake in 2011. So at the time, our economy was terrible. And our government was, announcing our economy was growing until 2019, but the reality is it's just recovering. So, and last year we lost 4% GDP, and it is expected we have a few percent growth this year, but still, our economy wouldn't grow rapidly. This is the reality of Japan. So, and on the next slide, I'd like to explain why our economy is not growing at all. So this is a chart of population of Japan. Actually, in 2008, our population has started to declining rapidly. For example, in 2019, we lost 500,000 population. It's a huge impact because we are losing the number of consumers and the workforce at the same time, which gave a huge impact on our economy. And the red chart shows the percentage of people who are over 65 years old. So now roughly 30% of population are elderly. So now, in general, elders don't purchase a new car or luxury goods or, like that. So this is another problem in the consumer goods sector. And on the next slide, I'd like to explain some famous framework of industry life cycle. Japan was on this stage in 1970s to 80s. Now, China or India or other emerging markets are located on this stage. Demand is strong, and many companies are rushing to those markets. So the number of competitors is increasing. So it is a theory. You choose a growing market to enter because demand is bigger than supply. So it's theory, very simple economic theory. But now Japan has an opposite way. Supply is usually bigger than demand. Excessive supply, which was made in the last century, because many international companies entered Japan and many startups were raised. So under this circumstance, it's not easy to enter because when the market has been mature and fixed, oligopoly happens, which means the market has been dominated by limited number of very strong players. So it's not easy to get the market share, such market. And now some industries are declining rapidly. Some typical cases are department store. The market size of a department store has become less than half of the peak time. And the table case is a motorbike. And the market size has been 10% of the peak time. So please be careful when you plan to enter Japan. Maybe your target industry is dying. So it is very important to understand the market trend of your target segment. And this is a typical case. This chart shows the number of cars units sold. So in the late 1980s, the number of cars sold in Japan was 8 million, but now it's roughly 5 million. So my question is, do you think Japanese automotive companies are doing well or not doing well. So you can see the reality of the automotive industry in Japan. This green line shows the export, and this one shows the domestic sales. As I explained, it's roughly 5 million, but the same number, 5 million of cars are exported. So the total production in Japan is still at the 10 million level. In addition, Japanese automotive companies are increasing their production outside Japan. So total production is like this. So if you focus on the domestic sales of Japanese automotive companies, it's not growing at all, but Japanese automotive companies are growing by mainly global expansion and export. So that is the reality of Japan. So if you sell to Japanese automotive companies in Japan, probably your sales in Japan wouldn't be big. But if you sell your components to, for example, Toyota USA, Toyota China, Toyota India, so you can get the growth of this industry. This is a very interesting research conducted by appar, Germany. Its Japan office. It is the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Germany. They distributed this questionnaire to German companies located in Japan to ask which is bigger, A or B. B is the revenue from the Japanese customers located in Japan. A is the sales from Japanese customers outside Japan, like Toyota USA, Toyota China, like that. And almost half of German companies in Japan answered A is greater than B. So they are doing business in Japan, but they are more sales outside of Japan. So, and surprisingly, roughly 20% answered A is 4 times bigger than B. So they are doing business in Japan, but their goal is not to get sales only in Japan, but they aim to get more sales outside Japan, like in the US, Europe, India, China, South Africa. So this is a big advantage when you do business development in Japan. And now some of you might think you can directly try to sell to Toyota USA, Toyota China, Toyota India, but this is our typical purchasing decision model in Japan. If you are selling cheap and commodity products and tools, you can directly to sell subsidiaries outside Japan, like in the US, India, China. Decision maker is there. However, if you are selling important components or equipment, for example, autonomous driving software to automotive, or some engine filter for eco-friendly to construction machinery, for example, in that case, decision maker is always in Japan. So if you would like to sell to Japanese companies globally, you have to do business development in Japan. So this is the big reason why still many foreign companies are trying to enter Japan or trying to develop Japanese customers in Japan. So when you ask me why Japan is an attractive market, I have to say, Japan is a very attractive market to some limited number of companies, because our market is not a good market in general. So if you are selling to consumers, I usually don't recommend Japan. Probably other Asian markets would be better for you, because many foreign companies fail to enter Japan or withdrew from Japan, like Ford or Citi, they failed. And L'Oreal, the biggest cosmetics company in Europe, only has 1% market share in the skincare sector. And recently, I saw the news. L'Oreal has made a decision to withdraw from Japan. So it's not an easy market for consumer goods suppliers. I don't recommend Japan. Probably, China has more rich people who can afford your good products from the US or Europe. And we recommend Japan to industrial suppliers, which sell to big manufacturers in the advanced engineering sectors like automotive, agricultural machinery, medical device, robotics, factory automation, electronics, like that. And your products are core components, devices, equipment, software. In that case, Japan is a very attractive market. So, and in addition to that, due to the aging of society, this healthcare sector is steadily growing. If you are developing state-of-the-art medicine or a medical device, Japan is a good market. And energy, some software or a high-tech device for alternative energy is demanded in Japan because in 2011, we had a serious nuclear plant incident, and many nuclear power plants have stopped their operation. So this is another sector which seems very attractive to foreign companies. So this is the end of the first session. So if you think Japan is not a good market from my presentation so far, you can leave this webinar because it could be a waste of your time. I don't think it's impolite. So but you may have another insights in the following section. So it's up to you. In the next section, I'd like to explain pros and cons of selling through a local distributor. Actually, it's a good first step if you don't have any businesses in Japan. But sooner or later, your sales through your local distributor hit the ceiling. So I'd like to explain this topic. So this is a famous theory to analyze different market entry options. The vertical axis shows the degree of risk, and the horizontal shows the degree of control. It's a very simple framework. If you take a lot of risk, you can get a high control, which is direct investment, or acquiring a Japanese company with 100% share, like that. It's very simple. And if you don't invest, you don't take risk, your control will be very weak. So if I know it's the ideal situation, you find a good distributor in Japan, and you can sell your products through that distributor semi-automatically. I know it's an ideal situation, but it's unlikely to happen, especially in mature market like Japan. So, however, developing a local distributor have some benefits. The first one is you can easily get the first market experience. Probably you have a chance to give your presentation to some potential customers in Japan, and you will have a chance to discuss how to sell your product in Japan with your distributor. You can get some market information. And of course, it's a great advantage, especially for a small company. Low investment and low risk are required. And hopefully, you can take advantage of existing customer base of your distributor. However, at the later stage of your market entry, you have a lot of disadvantages. The first ones are you can get establish your customer relationship with your Japanese customers. Sometimes your distributor try to avoid you meet their Japanese customers in order to hide something on their back. And you can have a deep technical discussion in some cases because the resource of your distributor is limited in terms of technology or technical support. Another disadvantage is less market information. Again, your distributor usually hide important information, including contact information of a good customer, and the limited market coverage. As I said, geographically, Japan is easily covered by one distributor, but then one distributor wouldn't be enough for covering a wide range of industries, applications. Sometimes you need to have a distributor for one company group, like one distributor for Toyota, another distributor for Honda. So it's their market coverage is limited. And you can't control their sales activities because most of the distributors in Japan are very mature. They have tens of years history or 100 years history. So it means they are selling hundreds of products. Your product is just one of them. So they may not allocate a lot of resources on selling your products. At the same time, you don't have any control on setting up end user pricing. And low technical service level, especially at the beginning of your market entry. And it's important. For a Japanese distributor, they are not interested in selling your products to Toyota USA or Toyota China because it's not in their market coverage. So for you, Japan is an attractive market because you can sell to Japanese companies globally, but for a Japanese distributor, their market is only Japan, which is not growing at all. And the worst one is this: you never know the reason why your business doesn't grow in Japan if your sales through a local distributor hit the ceiling. So this is a reality of market entry option. You just sell through one local distributor. So I would say you have to combine some options with having one distributor. I will explain that strategy at the end of today's presentation. And in the next section, I'd like to explain some examples how distribution channel in Japan is strange. So it's really complicated in some industries. The first one is multi-layers. It's very notorious. This structure can be seen hand tools, mobile phone, especially for products which price is very low, like spring, nut, or something like that. This is the worst case we have seen. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers between European manufacturer and the end users. So in this case, it's very difficult to penetrate. It takes a lot of time, and of course, everybody add margin or mark up your price, wholesale price. So it's not an easy situation for you. In that case, what we did for our client is online marketing to get the inquiry from end users to manufacturer. In some cases, this guy can bypass some layers, or you can find some ways. So multi-layers is a very famous trouble in distribution channel in Japan. On the next slide, you can see the closed model. This model can be seen those industries: cars, house appliances, cosmetics. For example, Toyota dealers only sell Toyota cars to consumers. Nissan dealers sell Nissan cars to consumers. So it's not easy for a foreign company to enter Japan. For example, Ford entered Japan many years ago, but they withdrew from Japan a few years ago because they had to find a different dealer or establish different their own dealer network. It requires a lot of effort and costs. So in this case, I have to say your investment doesn't pay off in the future. I don't recommend Japan as your destination if you find this type of closed model in your target industry. Another example is cosmetics. Cosmetics manufacturers usually have sales subsidiary, like Shiseido has a Shiseido sales office, and P&G or L'Oreal has their own Japan subsidiary, and they have exclusive dealer which sells to consumers. In this case, it's very difficult to find an independent, strong distributor or importer. Only one solution is you set up your own office in Japan and hire local talent. So it requires a lot of investment. On this slide, you can see direct model. Now, in some consumer goods markets, this model is becoming majority, like in supplement, cosmetics, fashion. In this case, it's almost impossible to find good importers or distributors because most of the major players directly sell to consumers. There's no, distributors here. So in this case, what you can do is you set up your own office in Japan to start this direct model, including e-commerce. Or partly you can outsource your e-commerce business to a third party, like a firm. Ideal story, your distributor semi-automatically sells in Japan wouldn't happen in such an industry. And another one is the purchasing agent. Probably it's a language problem. It's a distributor. Literally, they distribute manufacturers' products to end user, but sometimes you see this guy has a strong loyalty to a particular end user. In this case, their role is like a purchasing agent. This end user asks this guy, and they try to find specific products all over the world. In this case, this guy is not very proactive to promote particular products to this end user. So it's another problematic situation. And in this slide, you can see the case. A distributor just focuses on logistics. You can see this structure in food industry, automotive, construction machinery. In this case, the main role of distributor is to deliver products just in time. In this case, this guy is selling hundreds of thousands of products. So they are not interested in promoting a particular product. So in this case, you have to do sales and marketing and technical support directly to the customer. And if you reach an agreement with this guy, and this guy press an order to distributor, and finally you will get the order. So in these industries, this is the only way to get the sales from a Japanese company. Another example is OEM. The most famous player in such industry is Uniqlo, SPA. Uniqlo imports a lot of products from Bangladesh, Myanmar, India, China. But what they are doing is they outsource manufacturing process to factories in such low labor cost countries, and then they import it. So other manufacturers have no chance to import to Uniqlo because they want to control everything from design, purchasing, production, logistics, customer service, everything. So in this case, statistics says the import of apparel is big in Japan, but the reality is like this. Independent apparel companies can't enter this type of market. And This can be seen in those industry. Uniqlo for fashion, Nitori for furniture, and many supplement companies are doing this. So in this case, it's impossible to have a business with big Japanese companies if they have this SPA business model. So I have explained some complex case, but I have to say many industries in Japan have somewhat complicated structure in distribution channels. So I strongly recommend, if you plan to enter Japan, you need to get an advice from a local expert like us. Otherwise, you waste your time and money, because in some industries, there are no strong independent importers and distributors. So only your way is direct investment or yeah, like that. So before you make a decision to choose Japan, please consider this type of information about the distribution channel structure. From this slide, I'd like to explain some case studies. The case one is German device manufacturers. Their targets are advanced engineering sectors, and so they started working together with this small distributor, which was established our staff. And these guys are selling very simple parts. So this company's device is somewhat complicated to this distributor. However, this company has established good relationship with key players in the target industries. But several months later, this guy found no progress in sales. And it sometimes happens in Japan, especially when a distributor tries to sell complicated technical products. You have to be very careful. Actually, one of the salesperson had the technical trouble with this end user B for some delivering test products. And this one salesperson experienced the hard situation between German supplier and end user B. And he thought that this German company is not familiar with the Japanese business culture. And our Japanese organizational culture is really corrective. If one sales doesn't like selling these products, the rumor spread that out in their organization. And all sales say, I like to stay away from this German supplier. And then nothing happened. But sometimes, top management of this distributor doesn't understand what's going on the front line of sales and marketing, because salespeople try to hide what they do to their managers. So in this case, you will be in the trouble. So please be careful with technical matters, especially in the trouble. End users usually require a lot of things to distributor, but the distributor doesn't have a deep technical resource usually, especially at the beginning of your market entry into Japan. You have to do a lot for solving that kind of trouble. Another case shows some very tricky Japanese business culture. The companies are construction material manufacturer from Germany, and they started their business with a very small distributor, selling a wide range of European products in a wide range of industries. And 10 years have passed when I met this client, but she said, the CEO said, we didn't have any growth from the second year of our market entry. And we had a discussion with this guy, a distributor. And it turned out this guy gave an virtual exclusivity to the second distributor. It's a gentleman agreement, but this German client didn't know that. So she expected this distributor sold to other second layers, but only this guy only sells to end user through this second distributor. It's horrible, right? So it means this guy did nothing. They just proceed the paperwork of importing, and this company, just to deliver products directly to second distributor. Inventory is owned by this guy, but this guy at the roughly 40% markup. It's horrible, right? So if you encounter these multi-layer models, you have to understand what's going on below your distributor. It is super important when you encounter this type of distribution channel structure. And this is another case for a German pump manufacturer. This Japanese distributor made an inquiry to German company, and successfully, agreement was made between two guys and deliver through this distributor to end user A, which is one of the biggest agricultural machinery manufacturers. But nothing happened. So this client expects this distributor sells to end user B, C, like that. But it turned out this guy earned 30% of total sales from end user A. The relationship between here is super strong. Distributor, this distributor is very loyal to end user A. So if this guy sells to end user B or C, end user A think it's cheating. It's a very close relationship. In this case, actually, this company has to sell directly to end user B, C, or through another distributor. Otherwise, it's a waste of time to push this existing distributor. So probably some of you guys have a small part of business with a Japanese customer through a distributor. You have to think this possibility if your end user is very big. Probably the relationship between your distributor and the end user is very strong. And this guy can't sell to competitors of end user A. And another case is American engine filter producer. They were trying to sell to construction machinery and commercial vehicle, and they had a meeting arranged by the US Embassy, but nothing happened. Actually, this distributor literally distribute many components to end user. But it turned out in this industry, as I said, distributor focuses on just-in-time delivery only. They don't promote particular products because this is our existing supplier, and you try to replace it by your products. However, for this guy, price and profit will be almost same between these two products. So either will be fine. So in this case, you have to do sales to end user A directly and make an agreement. Then this guy places an order to this distributor, and then you will get an order. So it's a tricky structure in automotive and construction machinery. But if you are selling to those companies in those industries, you will encounter this model. So I explained some typical cases of complicated distribution structure in Japan, and hopefully now you are ready to deal with such complex situation. From this slide, I'd like to explain some options, how to establish efficient and effective distribution channel strategy in Japan. I've prepared 5 strategic options for mainly for industrial suppliers. The first one is a higher local salesperson. Of course, again, just having a distributor and selling your products semi-automatically would be an ideal situation. But in many cases, it's unlikely to happen. So in that case, you have the next step, another option. You hire your own local sales. Usually, you are required to set up your own Japan office and hire a local talent. But I recommend outsourcing base as a firm recommend because it's easy to start and it just affects on profit and loss because it's just a service contract. However, if you made a decision to invest in Japan for setting up your company, it affects a lot on your balance sheet. And you open a bank account in Japan, send your capital to Japan, and if you made a decision to withdraw from Japan, it's not an easy situation. So I recommend outsourcing base if you really need to hire local sales. And in this model, you expect local sales manage your distributor. Usually, this guy tries to hide the information to you, but if this guy keeps working closely together with distributor, he will have a chance to get more information through this distributor. And the best timing to get more information is meeting accompaniment. Distributor usually prefer to be accompanied by local sales, which knows technology more than distributor. In that case, you can get the direct response from your target industry or your potential customers. In addition to that, you can develop industry C, which is not covered by your existing distributor. And then this guy is reporting to your company. So you can get the marketing information fully, partly through distributor, but through your local sales under your control. This is a great advantage of this model. The disadvantage is you have to pay a decent level of money. If you establish your own office in Japan, probably you have to pay at least a quarter to $500,000 US dollar. So if you do this model on outsourcing base, like with our firm, probably the annual cost would be $80,000 US dollar if we work on part-time base. This is our second strategy. You ask your distributor to hire application engineer as their employees. Of course, you have to have discussion how much you bear the labor cost of this engineer. So in this case, you have greater advantage. This engineer can be fully assigned on your products, and they can deal with technical matters. So I think it's a good idea for technical support. However, you still have disadvantages because this guy is an employee of this distributor. It means probably he doesn't disclose important information to you. You still don't understand what's going on in the market, and you can't control business development under your control. This is our third strategy, multi-distribution channel. It's an easy model. If this guy doesn't cover industry C, you can find another one which covers industry C. However, the advantage is no additional costs are required. But there's a bigger disadvantage. Probably two guys have a conflict in terms of market coverage. And you can't, I know you don't want to ship your products separately to two guys. So probably you need to arrange some shipment to this guy and partly this guy's deliver to another guy. And they're controlling multi-distributors give you an additional burden because sometimes industry D would be included in C or B, and they will have an argument, and you have to solve that kind of trouble remotely from your home country. It's not an easy situation, and you still don't understand what's going on in the market because two guys usually hide important information to you, like end user pricing or some contact information of important customers, like that. This is our fourth strategy. It's a shift to direct sales. So I have to say, in automotive or construction machinery sector, this is only one solution. Again, the distributors just focus on just-in-time delivery. They are not interested in promoting your products. So you hire local sales who develop end user directly under your management. Again, if you set up your own office and hire local talent directly, you have to pay $250,000 per year. So I recommend you do this on outsourcing base. You can start with roughly $88,000 annually if we work on a part-time basis for you. So this is, again, only one solution in some industries like automotive, construction machinery, or any kind of commercial vehicle. The final one is full outsourcing. It's somewhat risky, but possible. Sometimes we have a request from some companies to plan this model, but unfortunately, we haven't done this so far, but it's making sense. If you have had some decent level of sales revenue in Japan and you want to reduce the cost of doing business in Japan. So our proposal of full outsourcing is you replace your current distributor by third-party importer. At the same time, you hire local sales on outsourcing base as well. And local sales develop end users and third-party importer deliver your products. So in this case, you can control everything, including logistics, sales, marketing, technical support. But of course, you have to bear some risk. You have to bear all logistics costs and inventory. And another problem is a long-term correction period. If you deal with a big Japanese manufacturer, their correction term is 3 months or sometimes 6 months. If you directly sell, not through a distributor, you will face that problem. However, it's very clear model. It's like you have your own subsidiary with the logistics function and the sales and marketing function. So this is the end of my presentation. I hope you have known the typical misbehavior when a foreign company encounters a very strange distribution channel in Japan. And now you have some options to combine with having a single local distributor and to increase your sales in Japan. And on this slide, I'd like to explain our service. We are happy to support your market entry at the any stages from early stage to middle stage to later stage. At the stage of export or beginning of your market entry, I think it's a good option for the first step. That our firm try to find your distributor in Japan if you have no sales in Japan. And also, if your products is a turnkey solution, it doesn't require any services like installation, training, setup, adjustment. In this case, just having a local distributor will work well for your products. However, if your products require a lot of services, we recommend business development on outsourcing basis. And it's the best option, or only one option for supplier to automotive or a construction machinery industry. And this is a also good option for foreign companies who are frustrated with the performance of a local distributor. Probably you are facing trouble. Your distributor sales hit the ceiling and you don't know what's going on. In this case, hiring your local sales would be a good solution. And at the later stage, if you are confident with the market opportunities in Japan, we are happy to search M&A candidate or a joint venture, and we are also happy to support you to set up your own office in Japan. So this is the end of my presentation. I really appreciate your participation to our webinar today, and hopefully you can get the new insights and ideas how to establish and grow your business in Japan with establishing good distribution channel. And I hope today we have about 70 to 80 people, and hopefully some of you guys have a chance to work together with us for your success in Japan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Yasushi, for your presentation. And during your presentation, we got so many questions, like more than 20 questions, and I try to answer as many as possible, but I haven't completed yet. So after the webinar, for the people which I haven't answered yet, I'll answer maybe later day, but maybe for today, I think we can pick up some interesting question to answer. Yeah. And the first question is probably about the trade show. One question is that when do we anticipate trade show to reopen in Japan? Because now in Japan, especially in Tokyo, the state we are still in the state of the emergency, and we cannot go to the trade show. And so the question is when the trade show open again. And as far as I know, after the state of the emergency, which will end on the 20th of June, then I think some trade shows will be open. But now the Japanese government has been rolling out the vaccination, and yesterday the Japanese Prime Minister announced that they plan to complete the rolling out of the vaccination by the end of November. So I think after that, it will be totally no problem that the overseas people will come to Japan, then go to the trade show, I think. But even before, I think some trade show also opening, then welcome people from overseas. Then, yeah, what do you think, Yasushi-san? Maybe the same?
Yeah, regarding the timing, probably you are correct. But before that, I'd like to share my insights about the trade show in Japan. In the US or Europe, deals can be closed at the trade show, right? But in Japan, people can't make a decision. you will get hundreds of neighborhoods, but they just collect brochure and collect information from you, and they come home. And it is very difficult to follow up, your contacts developed in trade shows. Probably you will send following up emails, hundreds of contacts, and will get the reply 10 or 20. And you will have a chance to submit quotes, maybe 1 or 2. This is a reality of trade show in Japan. So if you have already established your distribution channel in Japan, I recommend you join the trade show with your distributor. Otherwise, your investment could be waste. Please be careful. Another approach would be recommended.
Thank you. And I think it's already time to close the webinar. Then yes. So yes. So actually, so for the question I haven't answered, I will send you email separately. So please wait, maybe by tomorrow or the early next week. I appreciate your patience. Also, after that, of course, please feel free to ask any questions by sending emails to us. Okay, then once again, then we'd like to maybe now it's time to close the webinar. So thank you very much for your participation in our webinar today. Then we hope our webinar was was informative to you. Okay, then thank you very much again. Then
thank you very much.
See you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.